Tell your story.
Change the conversation.
Organized by students.
TEDx Youth at SHC.
Take a moment and imagine all of your favorite things. Imagine all of your cherished memories. Imagine you left your house one morning and you never got the chance to go back and to say goodbye. The first car you ever drove in, your diary with the scribbles from when you were little, the only copies of old family photos, a stuffed animal you grew up with, maybe even a family heirloom, maybe even worse, a furry companion waiting at the door for you to get home. All of these are not imaginary scenarios, but the realities of the people that we watched on the news. And while they might not be in the news anymore, they are still facing the struggles the LA fires left behind. Earlier this year, we watched as wildfires destroyed neighborhoods in Los Angeles. We saw Pacific Palisades, Altadena, and other neighborhoods turn to ash. We didn't know then, but later learned just how grave the damage was. The loss of these communities went way beyond the physical damage. Now let me take you back. On September 23rd, 2016, there was a knock at my door. A stranger walking past banged frantically, waiting for my mom to open up. There's smoke coming out of your roof. She walked outside, skeptical, but as she looked up, the roof of my home was on fire. This was not a drill. She ran back in, grabbed my brother, grabbed her purse, and called the fire department. My mother watched as our home burned to the ground. We lost everything. Later that night, my family and I found ourselves in the home of a stranger, a friend of a friend who happened to be on vacation and had offered us his apartment. There was another knock at my door, but this one came from my rabbi, Michael Lezak. Despite all the chaos, Michael Lezak had driven down, and we lit the Shabbat candles together. We shared the challah he brought and tried to pretend it was just like any other Friday. After we lit the candles, Rabbi Lezak gathered my family together to give us a blessing. Don't be scared to lean back on your community. Don't be afraid to accept their support. Don't be scared to take their help. I was just 8 years old, and I didn't really grasp what he was saying. But in the following weeks, as people donated clothes, meals, and even started a GoFundMe, his words stuck with me. The help that we received from our community gave my family what we needed to move forwards. I recently reached out to Rabbi Lezak again to ask why he had felt the need to explicitly tell us to accept that help. Shouldn't it have been obvious? Maybe it was because my family was the family that often offered the help. Whenever someone had a baby or someone was in the hospital, my mom and I delivered food to their doorstep. But the truth is, it's a lot easier to be on the giving end. Still, why is accepting help so hard? Imagine you're struggling. Maybe you're overwhelmed at work, emotionally drained, or dealing with something personal. Now imagine somebody offering to help you. Would you immediately accept it, or would you say, no, I got it, even though you really don't? Psychologists have long studied this tendency, the difficulty of asking for and accepting help. Research highlights the key reasons why people resist help, even when they need it the most. Let me break them down for you. Most people have a fear of being vulnerable. Asking for help means admitting that we can't do it all, and that can be terrifying. We fear appearing weak or incapable. There's a need for independence because we live in a society that glorifies self-sufficiency. From an early age, we are taught to be strong, to handle our own problems, and to avoid burdening others. I know accepting help can feel like giving up control. If we let someone help us, what if they don't do it the way that we want or the way that we think we need? Maybe we don't ask because we assume the other person is too busy, too stressed, or too overwhelmed themselves. It's common for people to even go as far as to self-victimize. When we are in pain, we isolate ourselves, believing that no one could truly understand or that we are alone in our suffering. Manfred F.R. Ketz de Vries, a psychoanalyst and professor at INSEAD, found that many people underestimate others' willingness to help them. In fact, studies from Stanford University show that help seekers consistently believe their requests will inconvenience others. Research proves the opposite. Most people want to help when asked, but they don't know how unless we make it clear. We underestimate the likelihood that someone will say yes when we are vulnerable and when we ask for their help. People want to help you, but if we don't ask, they may not realize we need it. Asking for help doesn't burden others. It gives them an opportunity to show up. A year after my fire, my family reflected on what we were grateful for. We were in a home, we were all together and all safe, and we knew that not everyone was as fortunate as we were. We thought about the kids in Napa who had just lost their homes. We thought about the wildfires. We thought about the donations we had been given. One stuck out to my sister and I. A journal we had been given by a girl we didn't know who entitled the first page, "Dear Friend." That journal, that new friend, helped me move on. It was the first place I admitted that the fire had had an impact on me. All I wrote on the first page was, "I am sad," but for me, that was a huge deal. A lot of what I learned from my own experience is reflected in Bryan Stevenson's work. Bryan Stevenson, an American lawyer, social justice activist, and founder of the Equal Justice Initiative, outlines the 4 key ways we can create meaningful change. We need to commit to proximity, change the narrative, hold onto hope, and embrace our discomfort through all of that. After my house fire, I took what I learned from all the help I had been given, and I used that to effectively help the world in return, to create my version of meaningful change. My sister and I decided to start a GoFundMe to donate journals to children affected by the fires. What began as a small goal of 100 journals turned into over $10,000 in donations. That GoFundMe became the Fire Journal Project. The Fire Journal Project is an initiative focused on the emotional recovery from fire that donates journals to kids who have had loss. Shortly after the Pali fires, I traveled to Los Angeles to visit schools with students who had been affected by the fires. We donated over 2,000 journals through our visits and shared our story with kids from kindergarten through high school. On one of our visits to the village school, I was talking to a group of girls sitting in their counselor's office. As I started telling my story, a little girl raised her hand. "I had a princess journal in my house, but it's gone now," she told us. As I was talking, she took the journal and explained to the group how excited she was to now have one of her own. And this moment reinforced a simple fact for me. When we give, we also receive. I am still healing from my own fire, but when I'm able to give to others, it's helping me move forward. I'm able to give these kids hope, and I'm given back inspiration and motivation. Giving and receiving help are 2 sides of the same coin. We live in a time where help is needed more than ever. We need to understand that accepting help doesn't make us weak. Giving help doesn't make us superior. It's time for us to break the cycle of fear and pride that prevents us from reaching out and connecting with each other. If we want to live in a compassionate world, we must practice self-awareness and remember that help is a shared human experience. The next time you find yourself needing help, go for it and ask for it. The next time you see someone in need, offer it. Because when we embrace the balance of giving and receiving help, we strengthen the connections that hold us all together. Thank you.